You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. And we're watching what's happening in Texas right now, where millions are without power as a winter storm continues to wreak havoc on the state. More than 3 million people are without power after some of the coldest weather experienced in decades tripped many of the state's power plants offline. Some local officials have issued boil water notices and have urged some residents to reduce their electricity usage. While some are struggling to stay warm, authorities warn power may remain offline for days because of heavy snowfall, ice storms, and bitter temperatures that continue to put an enormous strain on the state's power grid. Now, what's interesting here is Republicans are doing their best to try to put the blame on the Green New Deal, which is sort of hard considering it's not even enacted. Joining me now is Paul Goodloe, meteorologist at the Weather Channel. Paul, glad to have you back. Let's talk about how bad it is. You, first of all, folks from Austin to Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, I mean, all around the state. It's as if there's this. So where did this even come from? It's as if the entire middle of the country all got the same Arctic blast.
Well, Roland, it's February. It's something called winter. It's just that we have not had a winter like this in a long time. In fact, some in Texas have never, if you're perhaps 30, 32 years old, have never experienced this type of weather in the Lone Star State. In recent memory, last even 10 years or so, we have not had this type of cold weather dominating the U.S. like it has. In fact, some of the coldest air on the planet right now is right over the central U.S. And people say, oh, what about climate change and global warming? It's still going on. In fact, there's well above average across parts of Asia and Western Europe and the Arctic as well. Just here in North America, central North America, our temperatures are 20, 30, 50 degrees below average. And yes, finally into Texas, and this has been going on now for its second week. Now, the problem with what's going on in Texas, part of that is the whole power grid. You can have an economist talk about the deregulation going on in Texas and how they don't have their own kind of state power grid outside the feds. And let's just talk about the weather part of this. I remember years ago, probably in the 80s, late 80s, where there was actually snow in Houston. So this has happened before. It just hasn't happened in 20, 30, 40 years. So people have a very short-term memory, but we've never had this type of long-duration cold in Houston. And you know, you're from Texas. You spent time even in college.
Yeah, born and raised in Houston. I've experienced cold there before. The difference here isn't just that it's cold. The problem is the electricity grid in Texas. That's the problem, because folks are without heat.
Well, part of that is how homes are built in Texas. They are built to withstand the heat, the 3 months of 100+ degrees. They're not built to withstand 3 days of temperatures in the 20s or below freezing. I mean, Houston finally got above freezing yesterday. They're about to drop back down tonight. They'll finally get out of this as we head towards, say, Saturday afternoon. Austin is still below freezing. They've been below freezing since Sunday. Homes are just not built this way. Once you head, say, south of Dallas on towards the Houston area, they're not built for this. And that's causing pipes to freeze. And even if you did let your water run, again, it's a physical process of water freezes. It expands and will burst your metal pipes, your plastic pipes, and then the water will leak. And then you can't stop that because there's no way to turn that off unless you turn it off at the curb. But maybe you don't have busted pipes, but perhaps your upstairs neighbor does. So, I mean, this is ongoing because it's been so cold for so long, something we have not experienced for many people's lifetime. But, you know, this is winter. Winter does happen. Even in a warmer globe, we do still have these outbursts of winter. But in terms of us being humans, we have a very short memory. We just have not had this type of duration of cold air in Texas, certainly not in my lifetime or my memory being in this profession. This is certainly a remarkable type of weather pattern. But people knew it was coming. The utility companies knew this was coming. We've been talking about this at the Weather Channel, but this is the difference. You can't rely on your phone to give you like numbers. You need people, meteorologists tell you kind of impacts, the qualitative, this is something people should have prepared for, like a hurricane. And people will still be without power for a couple of more days because it doesn't take that long to restore power across the entire state. Now, granted, if you're out in Amarillo, yeah, you deal with that. You're used to having snow. You're not used to having snow, even 2-3 inches around Houston or even College Station. You're just not physically equipped to deal with that. And the sub 20 degree temperatures that have come across that part of the state as well. So it takes a while to recover from a hurricane. It's going to take a while to recover from this kind of weather disaster, which is kind of moved all across the state of Texas.
How much longer can folks in Texas expect this? Is it a day, 2 days, 3 days? Look, all my family is there, texting back and forth. All my family members at different points lost power. Power is now back on. The lines, the food lines, you can forget going to stores. Gas is short supply as well because people are literally sleeping in their cars because of the heat. So you have President Joe Biden, who is sending in generators and gas into the state. I saw where Governor Greg Abbott is not allowing any natural gas to be sold or sent out of the state through February 21st. And so efforts are being made to try to keep as much of the power in the state as possible.
Now, the end is coming. It's coming. I think the coldest will start to move on out as we head on towards, say, Friday. But really, even Houston, once you get past Saturday morning, it should be much better in terms of temperatures warming up. Now, again, average is around 66 for a high this time of the year. We won't get there until perhaps the early part of next week. And then later part of next week into the week after that, we're back in the 70s, above average in Texas. So we do see a light at the end of the tunnel. We still have about maybe 2.5, maybe 3 more days of this tunnel to get through, although we don't think we'll get back to the actual depth of the cold air, at least in Houston and Austin, San Antonio, as we head on towards Friday and Saturday morning. But definitely by Saturday afternoon, most of the state, if not all the states, should be well above freezing in terms of our daytime temperatures for sure. And even nighttime temperatures in Houston will be above freezing. So there's some abatement to this on the way, but we still have a couple of rough nights. And I feel for people, it's just like hurricane season, but in the reverse. I do have a college friend of mine, even a frat brother of ours. He actually has a generator that he says is his most prized possession that he built into his house. It's something that people, if they can afford it, or perhaps, have some type of installment plan, not just for these winter storms, but down the road, 6 months or so, even for hurricanes, because people realize how isolated we are and how basic we become if we don't have the lights on. We don't have the ability to turn our computers on or charge our phone. Generators, having your own control of your own power generation might be something, if you can afford it, something that a lot of people might want to perhaps look into making that investment into.
You're absolutely right, because trust me, I have one of those generators here in my home in the DMV when that hurricane came through. This massive storms came through, knocked out power for several days. I said, oh, hell no, we're not having this. And so, I haven't had to use it, but it's there if that day comes.
Well, Roland, I know you're in the D.C. area. There is an ice storm that will be coming your way as well. Hopefully it's more snow than ice, but yeah, this system, which is kind of slowly moving out of Texas, is heading towards the mid-Atlantic as well. So we could see another power outage situation across the mid-Atlantic. Won't be the same as Texas because how homes are built a little bit better to withstand these types of temperatures. But yeah, freezing rain, ice storms, you can't do anything with it. They will bring trees down, bring power lines down, and we'll have a whole another slew of people without power. Without power, the dirty numbers are the whole, customers. Think in Texas, 2.6 million customers without power. But customers are billing points. You multiply that number by probably 4 people per home, maybe even some might have more than that. So we're talking close to 10 million Texans, just Texans alone, without power, without heat in their homes right now. And this is a major weather disaster ongoing in that state. And hopefully we won't have this, but in the mid-Atlantic, but I know we will. Parts of North Carolina, Virginia, Delmarva will be dealing with power outages over the next, say, 36 hours as more freezing rain heads that way.
All right. Paul Goodloe, we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart.
When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.